Craig the Snake strikes again. Or he would if, he wasn't going up against the Mongoose Nintendo. I don't know what it is, but every time Sidescrollers tries to cover Nintendo content, they just kind of make themselves they just kind of embarrass themselves. Like every single time I see them do this, it just comes off as cringy and performative. And that's kind of a trend when it comes to like the anti-woke community, because we're still in this weird phase where the gaming community wants to believe that Nintendo is like one of the most woke, censorship happy companies in the like they're still producing good games. Like again, this is the problem with these people, like with like the anti-woke community. Like they want to like do this thing where they're just like, oh, they're taking away our games, they're ruining our games, and yet Nintendo has not been ruining games. Like that just has not happened. Like, and meanwhile, you have like Ubisoft going out of business. You have like, Konami doing their thing. You have like Capcom, Square Enix. There's so many like worse examples in the gaming community, and yet you consistently see this trend of these people, the anti-woke grifters, going after Nintendo. And it's really kind of embarrassing to see because Doug Bowser just retired from Nintendo, or announced his retirement rather. And it's kind of a surprise because I didn't think it'd been that long since he's been on, but apparently he's been there for 3 years, 6 years. He's ready to retire, whatever. And they announced his replacement, and they announced, one of the NOE guys, Shibata, is going to be overseeing the replacement. So obviously, there's nothing really all that weird or unusual about this. Maybe you could argue it seems kind of sudden. Like, I kind of agree with that. But at the same time, like, I've seen so much, like, conspiracy posting about this. So many people like tried to blame Bowser for the price points and like some of Nintendo's recent decisions, when in reality he really had nothing to do with that, because NOA is just a marketing and publishing firm. The Japanese side of things handle all of that. Like blaming Doug Bowser for the Power World lawsuit, which by the way is 100% justified, like you are barking up the wrong tree. And this is kind of the thing I've noticed, looking at these people like JT Smash, people like Grums, people like Craig the Snake, like these guys constantly try to come at Nintendo, trying to get them to look bad, or trying to get them like on the grift, and like nothing really seems to like ever really take off. This is like a really good example of that, because if you watch their video, because they posted a clip talking about like Doug Bowser's replacement, like it's just them sitting there accusing her of being a liberal because like, oh man, she has crazy eyes. It's like, really? So you're gonna look at this person who has done nothing yet, someone who has like not gonna have all that much influence on Nintendo. You're going to like look at her and accuse her of being a liberal because of her eyes. Like this is the problem with the anti-woke grift. And this has been an issue for a long time, but it's gotten really bad now that we've started winning, is that uh anti-woke is becoming just as judgmental and discriminatory as woke culture was. So you're seeing the exact same problems, the idea of like discriminating against people because of like how they look and what they do and who they vote for, just reversed. You're just going after the other side. And a lot of people keep like cheering for this mindset because like, oh, we're getting them, we're an eye for an eye. We're getting back at them, and yet like this is just going to fuel their victim complexes and just kind of like continue what we've been doing. Because I kind of had a lot of problems with like the Charlie Kirk cancellations too, where people like cheered that on, like, oh man, we're getting back at these people who came after us. Like, no, you're normalizing discriminating against political speech you don't agree with, and this is something that like really needs to be pushed back against on all sides, because you are, again, I can't emphasize this enough, like the anti-woke community is being subverted and controlled by the same group of people who advocate for the woke community. There really is no difference between them. They're just going to like justify doing the same things by using a different set of people, a different set of values, like, but it's all going to result in the same thing. It's become, known at this point at like how useless the Republicans are and how they never get anything done. But like the reality is they have a lot more in common with the Democrats than they do with their actual constituents. That's kind of their mindset. And that is the mindset of all these gaming grifters. They don't care that Nintendo has had major successes. They don't care about all the new games. They don't care about everything that's coming out. They don't care about like Nintendo Directs. In fact, Sidescrollers didn't even cover the Nintendo Direct because of Charlie Kirk's assassination. They don't care about any of that. What they care about is going live and streaming and concern trolling about an executive. Like again, it's just disgusting, and it really needs to be called out for what it is. It really is just, you know, Craig the Snake just doing everything to keep his grift going. Uh it is embarrassing to see like the same kind of things play out over and over again. These people insisting that Nintendo is doomed this time and they're going to fail and that they're going to go woke when it just isn't going to happen. It's not going to impact their business at all. They're not going to like radically change. Like you still see these people insist like, oh, Nintendo fell off around 2017 after Iwata died. 2017, the year when Breath of the Wild and the Switch came out. It's a gigantic cope. It's the same mindset we saw growing up, with the GameCube era and like everyone insisting that the N64 and Super Nintendo were way better and Nintendo was doomed and that like new Super Mario Bros sucked and like it's the same mindset. It's the same group of people who will aggressively hate everything Nintendo does for attention, but they don't actually have any experience with the company. They don't play the games, they don't know anything about the executives, and they certainly don't understand how, you know, uh, this company is actually doing in the market. They don't actually understand like that these games are that Nintendo is constantly expanding their business, and they don't seem to understand that they have survived the absolute peak of woke culture. So yes, I do think Nintendo was at one point at risk of being like undermined by woke activists, but in this day and age, when this mindset is on the out and out, uh, like I don't necessarily feel that way anymore. I don't feel as if it's going to ruin the games. I don't feel as if like the company is going to be undermined by an executive. I don't think this is something to like, just scream and rant and rave about. And like I am sick and tired of people like harassing Nintendo of America employees for things that they really have no control over. Like the price points, like the release schedule, like the games that get produced. Like it really needs to stop, and it does need to be like it does need to be acknowledged that none of these people who are like crying about Doug Bowser, who are crying about this Devin Pitchford, who are crying about Shibata, like what did these people do? Like that's kind of my point. Like at this is that like everybody keeps screaming that like she's gonna be the next Kathleen Kennedy, and it's like NOA doesn't make the games. She can't make executive creative decisions. Like she has oversight from the Japanese. Like what exactly am I supposed to be worried about? Like, oh, she might produce some woke ads. Well, guess what? They were doing that anyway. It's like nobody cares. Like I don't even watch ads anymore. Like that's kind of my mindset. Like who cares? Like again, people need to stop acting as if like woke culture is this like pervasive, like all-encompassing thing, because this is clearly like a mindset that's on the way out. It has been in decline for the past decade or more, and will fall off completely in the next 10 years or so. So like I personally don't really want to see people concern trolling. I don't want to see people freaking out over things that might happen, or this person retiring, or this person replacing him, or like changes NOA is making, because like it doesn't really matter at all. Like, really, like, do you really think that there's going to be some like insane shift in Nintendo in the next year or so that will just tank the quality? The answer is no. Like, this kind of thing takes years to degrade, to get to the point where other companies are at now. If Nintendo were to go woke today, it would take like 10, 20, 30 years to be as bad as Ubisoft, as Disney, or like any of the other companies that people compare them to. Like, the reality is, Nintendo is in a position where they have survived the absolute worst of woke culture without antagonizing either side, and they are going to survive post woke culture. And they are going to go on to be the biggest entertainment brand in the world. They are going to surpass Disney. They are going to surpass like everything else in the industry. In a lot of ways, they already have. And people like Craig, they really don't want to admit it, because a lot of these people have spent like the past like 20, 30, their entire lives in some cases, like hating Nintendo, despising Nintendo, thinking Nintendo was going to fall off. Pokemon's just a fad, bro. I've been hearing this for like 30 years now, and it's just, it just gets so tiresome. Like, all of this Nintendo hate takes, a variety of different forms, and the anti-woke grift is just simply another example of it.